The other day, this rolled through my timeline, and I thought, wow, that's interesting, and not because of the things you might expect. I wasn't paying attention to the headlines. I wasn't paying attention to who put it out. What I was paying attention to was how much relevancy it had. I mean, if you look at how many clicks this got, you have 3 hours worth with the type of headline that you would expect, and it only got 1,000 views. That's right, 1,000 views. So Anita Sarkeesian is vying for relevancy again, and well, not even the people out there that should be listening to it are. So hey there. So today I want to return to that wonderful world of irony, and this, it is deliciously ironic. Now when I'm covering this too, I want to make this very clear. I'm not talking about the controversy that this person is bringing up. We will discuss it in this, but that is not the point. The point is the reaction that comes from it. You know, the byproduct here. And that byproduct, it's few and far between. That, it says something to me. And what it says there is the people that should be paying attention to, the people that is marketed to, they don't care anymore. And don't you think that that's interesting considering? I mean, here we have a person that went to the UN to talk about these issues. I mean, they set up in front of the biggest stage ever. They managed to have all of that spotlight on them. And what happened? Point in case, Anita Sarkeesian decided the other day to go after Joe Rogan. Now, I'll cover this in just a minute to showcase this attempt at relevance. But if you look it up, you're not going to find a lot of places covering it. In fact, I mean, it just went by as a blip on the radar. And hey, if you wouldn't have been looking for it, you wouldn't have found it at all. Because why? No one really seems to care. See, long gone are the days of 3 million views, 1.3 million views, 1 million views and on. And this is how I remembered that channel. See, I don't go here. I've never really gone here before, but I still remember the controversy to it. I remember how much attention this got. And I'd actually forgotten how long ago this was. This stuck around for a while too. I mean, you can see some drain off after a bit, but if you look at the stuff that is coming out now, what you find are 6.4K views in 3 days, 3.3K views in a week, 1.5K views in a week, and so on. I mean, you don't have something underperforming here and there. You have things that are missing this entirely. And that, I don't know, to me, that came as somewhat of a surprise, but at the same time, maybe it's a great surprise too. What's fascinating about this, too, is it's not for a lack of trying, as you'll notice within the time that's devoted to this stuff. I mean, if we go back 6 years ago, you notice the themes here. You have 23 minutes, 25 minutes, 23 minutes, a minute here. And that stuff, I mean, you're pulling down millions of views without actually having to put that much time into something. Compare that to now. I mean, if you look at just the time spent on this stuff, you'll notice an average of about 50 minutes per video. You have a 50-minute video here with 4.4K views. You have a 53-minute video with 4.2K views, 46 minutes spent for 1.5K views, 52 minutes for 3.3K views, and 42 minutes there for 6.4K views. Again, you see this thing. Additionally, if you look back, there's this hyper-focus on one specific product, one that goes out and offends a certain demographic. You'll find video after video focused on that too, because that's what this channel was supposedly about. After a while, though, what you notice in this is that these things, they start to fall off. You see this attempt to go in and try to restructure, and I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, I like to cover all kinds of stuff too, so that's not a problem. But if you start looking into the last year here, you'll notice one common theme. You'll notice that you might have 15,000 or 17,000 views, but by and large, most things, they don't crack 5,000 views in here. I mean, just every now and then, you'll see something, and it's heavily inundated with buzzwords and on. But even that, I mean, that's just failing. I mean, what does that say, again, too, to the very audience that built this up? And again, I'm not talking about gamers in this. I'm not talking about YouTubers, although maybe I should be. I'm talking about those other folks that this is supposed to cater to. Have they just fallen off? Do they not care in this? Is this somebody that forgot their audience and they forgot them back? See, I, like so many other people out there, had either forgotten this person or at least relegated them to the dustbin of history until The Mandalorian came along and we suddenly were starting to get hot take after hot take. I mean, you can see some of those in front of you. I don't want to spend a lot of time on them, but I do want to say this with it. Perhaps that wasn't the point, having the hot take. Perhaps the point of all of that was being able to have articles like you see in front of you. The Mandalorian is taking heat for its portrayal of women. Now, its critics are facing waves of online harassment. See, the response in that, it actually gave this person some type of platform again. Them being able to go out and say, allowing space to voice dissenting opinions is important, but there is a big difference between calling out oppressive and regressive ideologies and defending the status quo to the degree that it actively works to dehumanize the most vulnerable people in our society. TLDR, online harassment isn't just threats. It's never being given the benefit of the doubt because you are a buzzword. It's never being able to make a typo or small mistake. It's having 3,000 people actively try to silence you because you have an opinion about a beloved TV show. I mean, granted, I do like seeing articles like this, and I do love seeing a good fight online, so props to Bounding into Comics for covering it, and props to Star Wars Girl for going out and wrecking that Anita Sarkeesian attack on The Mandalorian and the showrunner. But really, I mean, you have to ask, why did this stuff come up at all? See, it's the same thing with all of this stuff coming up, with Anita Sarkeesian going after Joe Rogan, saying, ooh, look at that rabbit hole of information, calling him extremely dangerous. What exactly is the point in that? Interestingly enough, too, Anita Sarkeesian still has that soapbox, as this highlights. I mean, she still has all of that connection. I mean, it comes from an interview with Duke University's Keenan Institute for Ethics, where they're publishing a series of interviews, and she's one of those interviews. Now, all of this stuff, it could stick to worldwide ethical quandaries. It could stick to these huger issues that are societal, but of course, we're talking about Anita Sarkeesian, so it all drifts to YouTube, and it all drifts to the quote-unquote rabbit hole. You can see her bring that up. First of all, trying to go out and say what type of person that she is, and how, oh my God, that algorithm, it'll bring up dissenting opinion, therefore that's terrible. Then she brings up Joe Rogan, and the reason to bring up Joe Rogan is simple. Joe Rogan has a huge platform out there. People see this, and his fans, if they see this as an attack, they respond, and that response, it gives her so much more platform, because again, like The Mandalorian, it's all about reaction. It's all about fighting that, because again, you can go out and you can save your company. And here's what she said there. You might see, let's say, a video from Joe Rogan, and you're like, oh, cool, this guy's interesting. He interviews interesting people. And then you start watching all of his programming, and you start to see who he brings on. While you think he's totally responsible, his guests might say things that are a little extreme, a little wacky, a little conspiracy theory, and you bend into things. But if this guy, who I've been watching for a while, thinks he's cool, then maybe he is. You go down that rabbit hole. See, the reality to all of this is trying to stave off the headline that you see in front of you, listed from June 22nd, 2019, bringing up the fact that channel we looked at, the organization behind it, it is flat broke. You could see this ineptly detailed from Polygon. And when I say inept, just pause on this and read this part. I mean, my gosh, that tells you that the mainstream out there, the secondary and tertiary media, they don't even care about this enough to go in to actually give you a good profile of the person. But yeah, they are broke. I mean, that's the reality to it. That, in my opinion, is why we saw articles like this also coming from Polygon, looking back on that certain gate, because it was a highlight, it was a big click time, and if you could bring up a little bit more of that lightning in the bottle, then maybe, just maybe, just maybe. Unfortunately for them, even the biggest brand of clickbait with all of the buzzwords they could use years ago, they're not working right now, and they probably won't ever work again. I mean, sure, this person will get article coverage. This person will actually have those friendly places, bring them in and applaud them going forward. But the reality of that network, it looks like this. But anyway, you tell me what you think. Ending this too, very briefly, I want to say thank you for showing up and thank you for being part of this. You know, your time, it's valuable. I don't want to monopolize it, but I do want to say thank you for showing up. If you'd like to sub to the channel, you want to help it out, share this stuff and on. But again, you just being here, that matters. So again, love people, they don't thank you for it. I do want to. I'll end that here saying we do this at least once every day. So check that out. And again, like I say, eternally grateful. Thank you.